Good morning, Raiders. I'm Ariel Tour.
And I'm Ava Nolman. Welcome to the first episode of RaiderRefresh, a show that highlights campus stories and local impact, all produced by freshmen and sophomore students. To kick off our show, we'll learn about how a new law is helping protect a man's best friend. Next, we meet a local business owner who is scooping up a legacy.
And finally, as we wrap up the school year, Hendrix and Dom are joined by two RaiderVision alumni to give us the rundown of the NBA playoffs.
Ariel, let's get started because the future of storytelling begins right here
On RaiderRefresh.
Hey Ariel, have you heard of Dexter's Law?
Yes, I have, and it aims to address an estimated 10 million animals that die from abuse and cruelty every year in the United States.
Ali Ruiz fetches the story.
As animal abuse cases continue to rise across Florida, lawmakers are taking action. Supporters say the new Dexter's Law, implemented in January, could save lives. This law was inspired by the tragic death of 4-year-old bulldog Dexter.
My first initial thought of learning about Dexter's Law was this should have already been done. It's something that at least I personally look forward for us to use later to help with the animals a little further on.
Dexter's Law is a Florida law that increases penalties for animal cruelty and creates a public registry to prevent convicted animal abusers from adopting pets again.
I think a lot of people get dogs for the idea of getting a dog and they don't realize how much responsibility they are. Having a database that tracks people who have animal cruelty, that they should not be allowed to continue to adopt dogs.
Violators could face up to 5 years behind bars or fines of up to $10,000. But not everyone believes this should be the state's top priority.
I think it is important and animal abuse is a huge problem, but I also think that there are big other issues in the world, like what's going on in the Middle East, immigration laws, all of that sort of thing. I also think that it weighs heavily upon trying to make society look better.
While opinions vary, Sophia says she hopes to see meaningful change and give more dogs a fair shot at a safe home.
My hope would be we wouldn't see nearly as many neglected or abused animals, and that it's truly people surrendering their animals because they no longer can afford care for them, cannot have proper care, housing, whatever it may be, and not that they're so fed up with this animal that they decide to harm them because the animal cannot speak up.
Dexter's death sparked change across Florida. While the law remains debated, his story is now part of the state's efforts to prevent future abuse. For RaiderVision, I'm Ali Ruiz reporting.
Thanks, Ali. While Dexter's Law is changing the lives of so many furry friends, our next story introduces us to someone who experienced a similar impact, just with ice cream. Harper Migdal tells us more.
On a hot Miami day, nothing sounds better than a cold scoop of ice cream. But for Mike Romeo at Sweet Melody Ice Cream Shop, ice cream is way more than just a sweet treat.
I've always loved ice cream. When I was in high school, I would carry a bag of spoons in the car so that I would go to the supermarket, get ice cream, and I wouldn't have to wait to get home to actually start eating it.
A few years later, he was engaged to his fiancée, Elena, and he dreamed of mixing together his longtime passion for making ice cream with the person he loved most.
Her and I had a passion for the culinary arts, and we wanted to do a food business together. We went through several iterations, and we decided on ice cream.
But sadly, at just 27 years old, Elena developed severe pneumonia on a cruise. That illness soon turned into art, a life-threatening condition that occurs when fluid builds up in the air sacs of the lungs called the alveoli. After 40 days in the hospital, she passed away in July of 2009.
When you go through grief, everybody grieves completely differently. Mine was just to cry for 6 months and sort of stay in bed and do nothing. So honestly, it didn't feel like it was even a part of my life.
But even through adversity, Mike kept moving forward, carrying his daughter Melody with him every step of the way. Although making ice cream is his job, it was Melody who truly gave him the strength to keep going when everything else was seemingly melting away.
When my dad first told me about Sweet Melody and his idea of making it, I thought, oh wow, that's a big idea. But seeing him actually complete it by himself that just made me feel like, wow, my dad really cares for me and he's doing all this for me.
And family runs deeper than blood. It reaches beyond the home and into the workplace.
I think Mike is definitely like again, how I was saying, very family-oriented guy. So he sees everybody like equally as well as like he wants to take care of people.
And no one sees that side of Mike more clearly than his daughter Melody.
I think it's really beautiful how Elena's legacy has shaped way for my future in Sweet Melody, and knowing that I'm going to inherit something that was made from love is so beautiful to me.
Through Melody, Mike began to see life differently, not just through what he had lost, but through what is still ahead for him.
When my daughter was born, it's like I've had two lives. Like I had the life I had before she was born and the life I had after she was born.
For Mike, this isn't just a job. It's a life shaped by love and purpose, with every scoop carrying the strength he's found through his daughter Melody. For Raider Vision, I'm Harper Migdal reporting.
Thanks, Harper. Mike's journey shows how support systems can shape success. And as we think about all of our accomplishments from the year, we rebuilt our website to bring all of our shows together. So check it out at gpraidervision.com. After the break, Hendrix and Dom give us an inside look at the NBA playoffs. Stay with us.
10 days, over 100 students, countless memories made. Storytelling isn't simply a hobby, it's our passion. Now, we are training the next generation of creators to use their voices, build their skills, and tell great stories. That is why we show up. This is our legacy. And we are Raider Vision.
Ariel, with exams coming up and the final deadline for the show to air, the pressure is on.
Yeah, kind of like what pro basketball players preparing for the NBA conference semifinals are experiencing right now.
Okay, that's a stretch. But why don't we see what Hendrix and Dom have to say about that?
Boys, what do we think?
Thanks, Ariel. Today we're joining you with two special guests. 2023 Gulliver alumni and Raider Take founders Jonah and Luca join us at the desk.
Thank you so much for having us. I love what you guys have done with the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. You guys have done a lot since we've been here, and it's been exciting to see what you guys have done and the improvements that you've made, and yeah, it's been a good show.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today, and I just want to jump right in with the first round of the NBA first round playoffs coming to a close. It's been a crazy run.
I mean, what a round! 3 Game 7s and 2 3-1 comebacks leaves little to be desired. But now here we are. The conference semifinals leave us with some great series, and I want to jump right in. The 4-seeded Cavs are paying a visit to the 1st-seeded Pistons in what could be a bloodbath of a matchup.
Oh yeah.
The Pistons, they just barely avoided fraud watch by coming, up from 3-1, but these guys are going to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers because the Cleveland Cavaliers shot horribly in the series against the Toronto Raptors, and Cade Cunningham is that guy.
Yeah, but who needs to shoot when you can dominate the paint? I mean, the Pistons sure have not been that team. And now going from the second most paint points in the entire NBA to third to last in the playoffs, they have no paint presence. And now they're playing Evan Mobley and Jared Allen.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, they will provide pressure in the paint.
You know, you do see captains, the West, it's star-studded out there. And we see some really competitive series.
Well, let's talk about the Lakers and Thunder, or, a very short series that it's going to be, because the Lakers are still without Luka Doncic. Austin Reeves just came back. And I'll give it to the Los Angeles Lakers. It is amazing what they pulled off against the Houston Rockets.
We shouldn't really expect anything else with that. And I think, the Lakers
Speaking about injuries,
it's done.
What is new with Anthony Edwards?
Oh, I actually heard that Anthony Edwards' return timeline is aiming towards Game 3 despite being questionable in Game 1. And that kind of leads some ambiguity to this series where you're kind of wondering what's going to be the shape of the series, especially in those games where Ant isn't playing versus when Ant is playing.
I 100% agree with you right there. The San Antonio Spurs versus the Minnesota Timberwolves series is going to rely on when Anthony Edwards returns.
I mean, even then, Minnesota with or without him, they've still got some holes to fill in terms of size. I mean, Rudy Gobert is your biggest guy. Randall's trying to do that.
On top of that, a basketball team doesn't just revolve around one player. You know, you're also missing Dante DiVincenzo, who sadly tore his Achilles, bro. What a horrible injury. And Dosunmu, who will be questionable for Game 1. If he does make a comeback in Game 1, Game 2, it'll make the series a lot more interesting. What do you guys think?
I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with both of you guys here. The Spurs are gonna they're gonna come away with this game. I mean, they're gonna come away with the series. The Spurs are going away because they have the DPOI, Wembanyama.
Yo, whoa. The Spurs have Wemby, but the Wolves have Jaden McDaniels. What are you talking about?
How tall is McDaniels? I'm sorry, how tall?
Jaden McDaniels doesn't have to be. He has the grit to be superior in this series, and the Wolves have completely changed how they play.
The Wolves have 2 starters that are out. They have 2 starters.
No, and they changed that because during the season, the Wolves were 24th in drives per game. They were 4th in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it makes me think, if they're going to run at Wembanyama, they're doing it for a reason.
You're just talking about defense. Can we talk about offense real quick? Rudy Gobert cannot guard Wembanyama.
But Gobert, the Eiffel Tower, I mean, despite how good he really is, I mean, listen, you cannot defend against Wembanyama, and especially if Luke Cornett and Olynyk are in that lineup at all alongside him, then you really can't do anything with that.
I think we should go back to the East, though.
Yeah, there's one series that might be more competitive than this one.
Yep.
The Cat and Embiid rivalry is finally being revisited after 5+ years of not seeing them clash in the playoffs. And I want to know, this is the most anticipated series of the entire playoffs.
Listen,
who do you guys have winning this?
Let me start off by talking about Philadelphia. Philadelphia's gotten a lot of, heat for how they've been playing basketball the last 2 years. There's been a lot of injuries. We had some off-the-court issues with Paul George this season. But we saw what a healthy Philadelphia 76ers team can do when they are hustling, against the Boston Celtics. But the New York Knicks are an amazing team. They've sold this season. They've made some big mistakes. But I think it'll be a good series. I think the Knicks could win.
They're on a hot streak, right? They have Cat, they have OG. They're literally shooting like Stephen Curry right now. But nobody can guard Joel Embiid.
That's true.
Nobody could guard Joel Embiid. He came back. He played 4 games the last series. 4 games. He had Jaylen Brown talking smack on national television. Jaylen Brown talking smack. Went back, Game 7, dropped 34, dunked on him, and handed him the ball.
I'll disagree with you, Dom. Embiid is like glass right now. He can break and injure himself at any moment. He's become very injury prone, like anyone else. When you stack up injuries that much, they catch up with you. You can rehab as well as you want, as much as you want, spend as much money as you want, like LeBron. But in the end, it's going to catch up with you, and so is age. And Embiid, I'm afraid to say, is getting up there in age.
I got a bonus thing for you guys real quick. We covered all the series in the second round, but let me hear your guys' takes on a little bit of a too early NBA champion. What do you guys think is going to happen?
Spurs versus Sixers.
Wet Bananas is not that good. I'm sorry, Wet Bananas is not that good. He's not that good. He's not that good.
You've seen it. You've seen it all regular season long. When OKC and the Spurs play, what happens?
Yeah, but that's not what I'm talking about, okay? This is a bigger stage.
You get a battle of height when those two teams play. Wemby versus Holmgren. That's what you get. You get a battle of very young teams. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Cason Wallace and Jalen Williams on that Thunder team. And then Spurs, Fox, Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Dylan Harper. Is that not just like that? That almost seems like that. You could almost call this like another college basketball game because these guys are all in their 20s, except for maybe Alex Caruso.
Sound like a double advocate. Who do you have? If you had to pick, I know it's a hard choice.
I'm gonna start the West Coast since I was going off that side, but I'm gonna say San Antonio off the back. I think the Thunder, despite the Twin Towers, it's San Antonio with Wemby is gonna pull through, and I think that their youth is going to outweigh OKC because OKC is the champions, but San Antonio I think has better chemistry. And they seem more like a tight-knit family than OKC ever has
sitting
been.
next to me right now.
Listen, buddy, if you think the Philadelphia 76ers could win the NBA championship, put your bets in right now. Because you're going to win a lot of money.
I never said. I never said.
You want to bet on the glass, huh?
I would. But also, like, if I had to go to the West, I mean, there's no way in my conscious mind I could say the Oklahoma City Thunder aren't the best team. I mean,
I agree with you there. I agree with you. OKC is the best team.
Why
but I want to see the San Antonio Spurs do, and I think they do. Okay. They're the only team in the NBA that has what it takes to beat Oklahoma.
But I want to ask you one last question. If you think that the Oklahoma City Thunder are the best team in the West, then why did the Spurs beat them 4 times?
Because the Spurs
it was an honor to have you all.
I think it was 3 times, but still.
I think we're out of time. Thank you all for joining us. It was an honor to debate the conference final.
For sure.
Now, back to you, Ariel.
Thanks, guys. It seems like there's a lot of excitement around the semifinals, just like the launch of this new show.
Yeah, that's more like it. And you know, Ava, I actually have lacrosse practice right now, so I've got to run.
Wait, you can't leave yet. We have to finish our first episode strong.
Oh, you're right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us on our first episode of Raider Refresh.
We are so excited to show you what the underclassmen in Raider Vision have in store as your future storytellers.
That's right, Ava.
We'll see you guys next time
on Raider Refresh.